Just at the moment I clicked go live. Now, you've appeared. Well, I wouldn't say you've appeared. You've appeared audibly.
Yeah.
Isn't really appearing at all. That's being heard.
Yes. Well, I am here now.
You got the list. I have to. Let me just check this entropy business. See if I can actually do it this time.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
I'm going to follow my instructions that I was given, and oh god, it's working. Follow my instructions. Okay, I don't want to hear myself though. I gotta get out of that. Okay, I can close the video. Okay, I don't want to hear myself. Oh shit! If I go, am I still live, or have I turned it off now? Oh god, I don't know.
The list is in the chat.
The revenue. You're supposed to go to the revenue page to see your chat. Here, you start talking off the list there, and so we don't have. This is professional stuff now. We can't be. Can't have dead air.
I'm trying to chew here as fast as I can.
Yeah, you're eating. We made $1 last time.
Yeah.
This is pro
That's
stuff.
That's big money. That's good money right there.
Well, hey, it's better than no money at all.
That's earned money, brother. We can get a fucking picture frame, put that buck in there, hanging on the wall.
Well, in 10 years' time, when we've done the 1 millionth of these at the exact time, without fail, with the real entertainers, the show must go on philosophy.
Yeah,
you'll be eating those words when you've got whatever $100,000 in the bank, just from that just from that shining personality. Now there's entropy business. Okay, what? How can I possibly know? Oh, that Rick D guy is there. Hey, hello, Rick.
Is it working?
Everything's working except I don't know. Entropy might be working. Shit. Hold on.
All right.
Anyway, start the list, and I'll check this. If I go live, stream already exists, so it's going. Yeah. Okay. If it fucks up again, I'll definitely get it right the next time. Let's just assume it's working. I was told to go here to see if somebody sends a question, it'll show up there. So fine.
We'll make an ass out of you and me about entropy. Damn, fucking rhyming out here.
You're like Eminem there.
Yeah, that one. So the first one is dietary Aryanist foibles. I'm guessing what you're getting at is the raw dog meat eater gang, whatever the fuck they go by.
Right. Yes, I was getting that because I've always found it a bit silly.
Oh, really?
Well, have you not? I don't know. You're the one who's always sending me the Liver King videos and things.
I am perplexed. Yeah.
You what? Oh, you're perplexed. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you make of it? Because a lot of people are very, very excited by this. I see people even claiming it's the most important thing out of their.
The first thing yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. The first thing.
Can you hear me? You can hear me through this mic, right? Is it very loud when I go like this?
Yeah, you sound great. You sound fine.
God, I'd like to hear that.
So the first thing I thought when I seen those videos is I'm looking at his desk, which it's a very fine wood. It's mahogany. It's obviously very expensive. And then I'm looking at the cuts of meat that he's got, which are relatively hard to find if you don't know a butcher. Most people don't have butchers that they can just call up, so I'm assuming he's paying for that shit. So there's a lot of money going on the table for those like cow testicles and pig brains and what the fuck ever else he's eating. And then the second thing I thought of was botulism.
Yeah, how is he not sick and dying? Why is he not dying? I've seen him eat raw chicken and stuff. I've eaten I had like beef tartare when I was at some point in France, along with escargot and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And beef, it was basically raw beef that I had, I think, with egg or something. And it wasn't like, I didn't find it to be particularly amazing when generally everything you do have over there is completely amazing. But I didn't get sick. But I know from chicken is very dangerous and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I've seen them eat.
E. coli and what's the shit? I think that's the one you get from chicken. There's another one you get from chicken that's real bad. And another thing is a lot of the contamination and food poisoning you get from chicken and pork. You basically have to like live through that. There's no way to like soften it down. Like if you get a contamination from beef, and you can pretty much just like wash it out of your system with water and salt and shit. But chicken and pork and seafood, not so fucking much. Salmonella, that's the one.
Yeah, salmonella. There's one I heard about from a kid. I remember reading a story of a kid who got it from raw beef, and whatever it was he got, which of those it was, he was like bleeding out of his eyes and stuff. And like,
yeah,
it was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's fucking terrible.
So obviously, Mr. Liver King has found a way to looked into whatever. You probably have to treat the meat somehow. He's not dying. He hasn't gotten sick, luckily. But I mean, he's the most extreme example of what are like really a whole lot of people. Like even we're probably pissing off a whole section of people that would otherwise be loyal followers.
Come at me, fuck it.
So did you ever get excited by this whole? I mean, I've got nothing against it. Like say the whole raw milk and raw, eat liver and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the seed oils, they really don't like seed oils.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I never got too excited about any of it. I always kind of would rather use olive oil, anyways, and wouldn't be inclined to eat raw meat generally, sushi or something. Maybe even then, I eat cooked sushi. I do like raw veggies and things like that's obviously healthy. But all the theories behind it, I mean, you see people looking even Mr. Liver King himself looks extremely healthy, and they claim to be feeling much better, and it's historically the diet and all this. But then you and I both personally, as a side note, have become somewhat, or at least I have for sure. I don't know about you maybe not, somewhat lactose intolerant or something since just very recently in our older age. So I don't actually drink cow's milk at all anymore.
Right. Yeah, I don't either.
But I mean, I wasn't into this even before that happened, but now I'm really not into it. Now I'm like, okay, look, I think, like I was talking to an old Italian guy yesterday? And he was saying that he thinks, you should drink milk a lot when you're a kid and a baby, but when you're an adult, you should probably maybe lay off a bit.
Right. And that's what I've heard.
You've heard that too, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Personally, I try to stay as far away from anything contaminated as I possibly can. That's personally my modus operandi when it comes to food. And so eating raw things is not going to happen. And especially since we've come to this position where most of our food supply is of a quality that is unimaginable to our ancestors. And so I'm not saying that these guys are going out and getting beef at like your local international supermarket, whatever, because I would assume they're not. I assume that they're getting it from a fine source and they're treating it like a delicacy, and that's all good and gravy, but it's still kind of, no thanks.
Yeah. So I don't really get the excitement. I see a lot of people just saying, "Oh, here's my dinner," and it's just like a plate of raw beef. And
right.
They're like, it's great. And it doesn't look great. It's nice when it's cooked, that's for sure.
Yeah, it tastes like, kind of fatty Play-Doh, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I take health seriously and everything, but I don't take it to the point where I like totally scrap the enjoyment of my life. And food is a great enjoyment, and cooking it is nice. It tastes nice.
Right.
So I never would be one to readily, but a lot of people got very excited about this, and it became they really began to rotate their whole life around these crazy diets. As I decided to call it, what did I call it? Something Arianism, dietary Arianism.
And dietary Arianism. That's pretty good.
Well, that's really the way they look at it and the way it is. But anyways, we both happen to think it's kind of like whatever. Not that I have anything particularly against it either. I was like, if you want to do that, like, fuck, that's fine. But how amazing it is and how worthwhile to do, is up for questioning, I would say. So,
I mean, it seems like almost holistic, right? Because you and me have both read several, well, not several, but we read some things about the digestion of cheese and dairy, and how that could actually, fuck with your heart palpitations and all this kind of stuff. And since I've quit cheese en masse, yeah, I sleep much better than I can ever remember, to be honest. Now I do eat cheese sometimes on the weekend. So, if I'm out with people and they've got a pizza, I'm not going to be there and be the guy that's not eating, obviously. But
I'll be that guy. But no, I eat goat cheese.
yeah.
Have you tried eating goat cheese? It's no problem with goat cheese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't seem to have any problem with that. I can eat that. So I do eat that. But yeah,
But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, as we're given like a dietary advice, I'm not really going to be the guy to do that. But I'm just saying, what I've done exactly that's been beneficial to me, and not eating raw meat of any kind is very beneficial. I mean, I might eat sushi if I'm on the ocean in which it's killed, but that's probably about it for me. I'm not going to be, eating inland raw oysters and shit like that. I do like the flavor of them.
I don't actually like sashimi. I like sushi, but I like the barbecue eel or the
you like the slightly cooked.
Well, actually, generally I go for vegetarian sushi, just like a bit of pickle and a cucumber or something like that.
That's good too. I like that.
The joy of sushi to me is really the wasabi and the soy sauce. It doesn't matter what is in the sushi; you can taste it in the end, really. Put so much wasabi, you don't know what's going on. I used to teach English in Japan, like not for very long, for a few months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the things they would actually eat there were pretty crazy. Like I remember having candied eels, like little baby eels, like in like a sweet jelly. And my roommate was always eating this stuff called natto, which is like fermented soybeans. It actually was kind of gross, but it was like rotten soybeans.
Does it get you drunk?
No, it didn't do anything like that. But.
What a waste.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of insane things there, for sure. But actually, the funny stuff there was they used to love to use English in all the signs and everything. There would be like an English beside everything. Like you've seen this, the Japanese version of English. It doesn't make any sense, but it would just be. I think he had a food processor, and it said on it, not to be used for the other use. And just like funny things like this, like everything had to just retarded little meaning.
For the other use, what's the other use?
Well, that's it. I mean, it's very philosophical, really. It's all it's a matter of personal imagination.
I see.
Or there was what else was there? I always mention the shampoo. There was a shampoo bottle we saw that said, "This product will make you feel emotions even deeper than pain."
Is this like English or something?
Yeah, English. They love to use it, right? But they don't without fully understanding it. And in fact, it's like I mean, this is years ago. Maybe they've changed all this and they don't do that anymore. But they like to use it, but they also like their version of it. They don't care that it doesn't make sense to the gaijin. They like it their way. They like it their way, and it's like, you'll see some pretty hilarious things.
The baka gaijin.
Anyways, we were off the topic of diet. Yeah, so and they don't eat dairy there at all. They claim actually when foreigners like us are there that they can smell the cheese off us. They don't like the smell of us. They smell like dairy and cheese. And
that doesn't shock me.
Yeah, so one of these dietary Arianists will say, well, that's not, they're foreigners. That's their way. Our way is to drink milk as much as you can.
Right.
Once again, maybe it's true that we historically have used a lot of dairy and milk, but I don't know that it's a big deal. That's how I would put it.
So
a lot of people have made it a big deal. That's all. I don't know what else we can say about it, because I don't want to piss off these people, because that's fine if they're into that. But there's a lot of obsession. And the seed oils. What do you think about the seed oils thing? I know I can understand. I believe that I read something or other. They said, they're making this junk oil gook out of just like garbage seeds that they put together, that they just like take whatever and squash them up and make any kind of oil they can. And it's unhealthy for this and that reason, or it even produces estrogen again or something. I don't remember what it was, but
everything's got estrogen. I mean, everything's like in plastic bottles. There's no escaping that, or microplastics even. There's no escaping it. It's just impossible to.
That's true.
I mean, the seed oil bit. I honestly know nothing about it. I assume the same thing that I assume with pretty much any product I'm going to buy in a store, that it's going to be at least somewhat contaminated, and hopefully it doesn't make me sick when I eat it.
Okay, so this entropy thing appears to have actually stopped.
Oh, neato.
Yeah, Nito is right. So I have to open it again. And there
All
it is.
right.
The entropy thing appears to have actually stopped.
Oh, neato.
Yeah, how can I do it without having to... Oh, wait, I can mute it. Okay, I'll let it play there. And then I can see everything I need. And so maybe that's the way to do it. Okay. But yeah, seed oils. I can see the point. I do actually use olive oil more, but I can see the point.
Oh, I only use olive oil. Maybe that's why I never gave a fuck about this argument, because I basically only cook in olive oil unless I'm frying something, which is like once every 3 months.
I've used a rapeseed oil. There's a rapeseed oil that's quite popular here. They produce a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It seemed okay to
What
me
do you
too.
do with it?
You just cook with it. It's just like an oil. It's not as nice as olive oil, but it didn't seem to be so bad.
Let's see.
I don't know. But yeah. And regarding that scene, you know, they're very excited about it, and they take it to ridiculous levels. I think so.
Right.
Going around eating raw meat everywhere they go. But, you know, I guess that's fine. That's what you want. Who cares?
Hey man, that's how you want to get down. I mean, I'm probably not going to join you on that venture, but yeah, go for it. I mean, fuck it. Why not?
I actually tried to be vegetarian at one point, but I was a very bad vegetarian. I would cave in probably once a week.
Yeah.
Certainly once every 2 weeks. I tried to just eat fish. I thought it was a good sort of ethical thing to do, considering the horror of, because I have killed animals, and I thought, well, you know, it's fine and all, but there is a horror element that you can, that you sort of overlook, and you don't think about it at all when you just buy it at the supermarket, which is really not fair at all. So there's there's definitely not hypocrisy, but an injustice going on there of some kind, where you're not paying the full price you should for this tasty meat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you had more awareness, let alone this fact, the horror of the factory farms and that carry on, which is really dreadful.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, all that. So I would do it again. Actually, it's only because I only stopped because we started having kids, and then I thought I couldn't be Mr. Special Guy getting the special individual meal every dinner. You know, I'm the vegetarian here, and when nobody else is, and I didn't really want to like raise the kids specifically that way. I was not. And once again, it's not something I'm like a crusader about diet. Even though I would, yeah. If I could, I'd probably continue with it. But again, once again, like I said, I was terrible. Like probably once a week, I'd break down and eat some meat.
Yeah.
But no, maybe not that bad. Once every 2 weeks or once every month for sure. And I tried to just, what's it, pescatarian when you eat fish? I would just eat fish.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, so that's dietarianism. That's nothing too great or bad to say one way or the other. Just that, take it easy. You don't need to get so excited. No need to eat.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the people that are doing this and making the thing about it, I mean, they're taking major precautions. They probably know butchers, or they pay out the ying for what they're purchasing. So if you're going to go and do this shit, don't go to your international supermarket and get just like, meat that's been glued together and fucking whatever else. That's not what they're eating. I can promise you that.
Best thing you can do is go and kill a human, like your neighbor, and really pay the price, the ultimate price, and like be hungry and eat them.
Yeah, I read there's this show, I can't remember what the hell network it was on, but it was talking to this Japanese cannibal that ate his human flesh raw, and he said it tasted like fatty tuna, had the same consistency and flavor as fatty tuna, which is delicious. But I don't really feel like spending my life in prison to go and hunt down this adventure.
Yeah, sounds intriguing. Oh, intriguing. But I too saw a show about a Japanese cannibal, although he didn't mean to. It wasn't about cannibals. It was about World War II Japanese guys that were stranded on islands and didn't realize the war was over, and were there for like 10 years, surviving on nothing. And
I know about that.
Yeah, this guy was an old guy relating his story, and he said he did have to resort to having to eat somebody at one point. Or maybe he didn't, but he came very close to it. And he said, so he was so hungry, he hadn't eaten for so long, that he saw there was a corpse, somebody he had to kill or something. American soldier. I don't know. His guts were like all over the ground, and he said
Oh,
he could remember to this day what it's like to look at that and think that looks good. I
oh
would eat.
God,
I would eat that.
that is
But
brutal, man.
do you ever actually
Uh,
read? You ever actually read the account of the Donner Party, the California crowd that got caught in the snow, and they half of them ate each other?
no, that sounds awful.
Oh, like it's a bit awful, yeah.
Yeah,
So they were in the what's the mountain range in California, like Sierra Nevada or something, or what's
Big
yeah,
Bear, yes, sir. There's a bunch of
I don't know,
shit.
whatever it was, but
Yes,
they had an alarmingly high snowfall with it, while these not pioneers but people trekking west anyways in wagons, and they actually there's a memorial statue there that shows that where how much snow there was, and it was something like 20 feet of snow, like way above your head snow.
yeah,
So they literally got trapped in these mountains in these little and different groups of them kind of broke off trying to like different like form search parties to try and get back and rescue the others, but they would actually just get lost and wind up in another pocket and also end up eating each other. So it was like groups of them all around, and just the accounts of it, like uh, there was one guy who they found. They knew that this man and this woman were somewhere, and they reached him just after he'd killed the woman to eat her or something. He was cooking her, and he was making some funny excuses, and like he was, they knew, and they had caught him, like he'd killed her. And this guy, I don't know, just there was a lot of a lot of carry on and a lot of cannibalism. One guy, after he got rescued, ate himself to death immediately when he got his hands on some real food. He ate so much that he died. So
whoa,
yeah, but I mean, there's like I don't remember all the details of the whole thing because it's really quite complex. But it was like quite harrowing and quite a scene. And when they found them, there was so much snow. It was like they were coming across snow, and there'd be like they'd find filthy snow and like holes buried in the snow, like a tunnel going down, and they'd be living down, and the holes would go down, and finally you'd find the roof of the house, and they'd be inside the house, like way underground, like underneath, in these little horrible caves of like death. And yeah, terrible. Why are we talking about this? This was not on
I
the
don't.
list.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about raw food, so obviously the we get to the most outrageous of topics, and there we are.
Okay.
Cannibalism. I
Oh,
feel
someone
like
has,
cannibalism is one of those things that's going to be one of those.
someone says they live. Someone says that someone in the chat says they live near there. I live near the Donner Pass. It's the Sierra Nevadas. So what a
Uh,
legacy! What a nice, what a nice thing to be famous for. Excellent.
I feel like
Because they
cannibalism is
party.
one of those things that's going to be socially acceptable at some point. Um, it's going
Well, I
to
mean,
be one of those glass ceilings, as it were, that
yeah,
they're
there'll
going
be
to break
no.
through.
It doesn't matter. There'll be no acceptable or not acceptable when things get all really squirrely, you know. But
Well, I'm just saying, like with this culture, I mean, I feel like that's going to be something that just they'll break down the walls of that one too.
could be. Yeah, probably a little bit, and like to a certain degree. I see they like to make kind of synthetic meats and even synthetic human organs, so they may as well just make those and eat them, just to be as horrifying as possible.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah, synthetic human
scumbags.
meat. Yeah,
Fucking jerks. But he also says they tried to eat their shoes and bark before they turned on each other.
yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
that's one thing they said. And even one of the rescuers, when they showed up to get them, they were amazed because these kids came out and started eating the leather of the saddles. Like that. Can you imagine doing that? Eating your shoes or something. Like I think
When did this happen? I'm not too familiar with this, to be honest. I don't really try to partake in much of this kind of content.
well, it's fascinating if you're into. Well, I mean, it's a piece of history.
Sure.
Sometime in the 19th century, I don't know. Yeah, like
Yeah,
18.
okay. That's what I thought. It was 1800s or so.
Yeah, but yes, dietary arianists don't start eating human flesh. You're doing bad enough. I mean, you can eat the but I mean, if you're ever like raw or nearly raw steak is obviously good. I mean, everyone eats that, like medium rare steak, or whatever.
I'm not a fan. I have to have my
Really?
fat rendered or I'm mad.
What do you do? You do what? What do you have? Like
My fat
medium?
has to be rendered, so you have to have it at least medium to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not overly picky about that, but yeah, I don't like it too raw, where it's like it looks gross. And
Right.
yeah. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be a huge fan of it being too rare. Medium rare is okay though. It's nice when it's like super tender and all that. But yes. So dietary Arianists, don't be upset with us. We don't mean you any harm. You can have all the raw milk and the raw
Yeah, you can have my share.
meat. Yeah,
Um,
we don't have anything against you. We just think don't go too far. It's not that exciting, really. You know,
all
you
right,
eat
so
your body's a machine. You eat what you need to eat. Okay, what's next?
we've got Anglo name origins.
All right, now this will be difficult. See, I hit you with a list items as they were
Yeah,
occurring in my brain
yeah,
at the time, but actually, what I do have to draw upon in my brain at the moment, at the crucial moment, is another matter. And
right.
it's all this me guy from the past screwing me up again. This son of a bitch always turns up. Ideas from the past that make no sense in the present. But I do actually, yes, I read a book recently, although much of the details of it have vanished from my brain already. I was on holidays there in west of Ireland there, and I encountered a book and I read it on origins of Anglo names. Now, I can't ask you what's your name because you won't tell me, and you have so many aliases. I don't even know what your real name is. I think you told me at one point.
Let's make one up.
Yeah. Oh well, you make one up. Like say like my name, Herd. It's derives from like shepherd, obviously, but it was specifically people that herded cows and bulls.
Yes.
Same with the name
Okay.
Bollard or Bullard. It basically means a herder, bull herd, a bull herd. So most of our names originate from the Norman period, which is what I didn't know, and which is really quite recent. And almost all the names, and most of them are actually, even though you'd think there's some fanciful other reason, or originate in exactly what they appear. If your name is black, it's because you were quite sallow, your ancestor. If it's white, because they were quite fair. Names like Doolittle is actually like somebody who was lazy.
Really?
Yeah, same with coward. Or there's last names like brave and courage were people who were brave and courageous. Names that you thought were ancient, like a name that I thought was like an ancient Scottish name, like Stuart, was actually from a Norman name from steward. Oh, a lot of names were just like the jobs of people, like the
Right.
surf job, like a steward of like back then. The steward was somebody who worked in the house in charge of the pantry, or something. I could be wrong, or somebody who did a specific job in the house, so it wasn't a big deal. Maybe it was that this is the time when people would have big royal houses and there was functions all the way down the hierarchy. There was a lot of people who had church-based names and stuff. What's some more examples? Names like Miller was actually Miller, and there's a lot of names based on John. There was names that people have names based on biblical names, and there's a lot based on John, not just like Johnson and names like that. Obviously, Johnson was like the son of John. There's a lot of them that derive from other versions of John, like Johann, like so Hansen and Henson. And there's all these very common names. There was a lot of them that I read were derived from John for whatever reason. And so a lot of people, you think of your last name, you think of what its origin could possibly be. Often, it's actually exactly what it sounds like. So I just thought that was interesting at the time. And something.
A lot of them stem from royalty too, which is interesting.
Well, back then the Norman royalty would have been like, so it'd be names like those big old names, like you hear it in English still, like Sinclair and stuff like that. Like those were high Norman royal names that were passed down. I think Fitz was a royal term for something. So like Fitzgerald. Does it mean son of again, or I can't remember.
Is that German or is that English?
Norman. Well, the Normans were like French,
right?
But they were descended from the Vikings as well.
Okay.
And they're the ones who invented the whole kind of chivalry, the knights, the era of the knights, and that was really the Normans. So they conquered England in whatever year, I can't remember now. And so they just started naming everybody, and we've all got those names ever since. So whenever you hear whining from like, say black people in America, they whine that my last name is derived from my great grandfather was a slave, and it's not really my name. All the rest of us are also named from periods when our great grandfathers were essentially slaves as well.
Right.
There was a lot of people's names had to do with horses and keeping horses. and I don't have the book anymore, and I don't remember which ones they are. It's funny because you'll hear ones. There's ones that you wouldn't have thought were derived from something, and they are. And it's funny. It's through like an old English variation of the word that gets twisted over time and stuff. Like some of the oldest names in Europe are Irish. In fact, I think he said, and the thing in the book, it says they are the oldest. So names like, the classic Irish Cormac or whatever, and like in Irish, when you add O to the name, it's like saying, I think O was daughter, and Mac is son of. I'm pretty sure. So MacDonough is the son of Donagh or whatever.
Right.
But
of like Leonardo da Vinci or Shakespeare. Well, no, Shakespeare wasn't one, but Leonardo da Vinci was, Leonardo of Vinci, obviously.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of people named after places too. Yeah, a lot of people were named from the place they were at, even if it was just like a local village or something like that. A lot of them came from that as well. So those were the main reasons. It was either a job, how you looked or behaved, sometimes something to do with the church or with like a name from the Bible, or it was like royalty. But yeah, it was interesting.
There's also the merger of names too. Can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but I know that when certain families would congregate, they would work out a collaboration, and that would be their name, their last name.
Yeah. So they say some of the more successful names were people that had the more prolific type of job. So like say Smith really used to be at least the most common Anglo name. That's obviously that was a blacksmith, but I guess blacksmiths were like a type of almost common middle class type person, as in every place needed a blacksmith. Everyone rode horses everywhere. It was like a good job. Everybody in a village had a blacksmith kind of thing. So it was kind of a good, stable, important job for whatever. And like names like Smith or Baker and stuff like that, like very common names that just show like a job that was like a common job that was needed everywhere, I guess. And that's why they're so common now. I don't know. It's funny, anyways. Some of them I did not expect. I wish I had the book. This is what I'm saying. I wish I had more because the book was actually very fascinating. It was a lot of details and examples, but it's been a good solid month since I read it, and these details escape me. I've read another book since, and my vacuous aging brain just lets these things go through like a stream.
Well, what I will say is that one thing that they do in America is families will herald the idea that they're, one 99th Native American, and so they will point back to these derivative English names or these derivative biblical names that sound weird to them, and say, "Oh, well, see, that's our Apache chief ancestor right there," and then you find pictures of them, and no. So that happens here. I know one name, because I was told this story by a friend. They had a family member that said this, and they said that the family member's name was Hija, right? And so they're like, okay, cool. So that could probably be Native American, right? So they find pictures of Hija from like 1880 or something, and yeah, he's obviously not Native American. And so they find that the derivative name was Elijah. And this kind of stuff happens in America.
That's what I read in the book. They evolve in these weird ways. That's the thing, yeah. They evolve in these bizarre ways. That's like why I remember the example of Stuart, is because I have a friend named Stuart, and he's like proudly Scottish, and he spells it Stuart, and he always says that's the original spelling. But according to what I just read, no, it's actually the other one is Stewart is the original spelling, meaning steward, and it's not even particularly Scottish. It's a Norman name. Recognized, Mayflower respelling.
I also know people that are named really shitty occupations, like robber.
Yeah, he would have been a robber. Yeah, robber. I never heard that name. That's a good one. Yeah, but anytime you hear that,
it's not funny. It's in another language. I don't want to say it because it might, but Yeah, it's robber in another language, and so they looked up their family history, and yeah, one of their family members was a he was a thief.
From the Norman times. It's very difficult to go back as far as Norman times. I did the old ancestry thing, and I saw my ancestry going back as far. I made it as far back as 17 something, at least
really?
on one side, maybe even a bit farther. A lot of Thomases in my family. Thomas and Arthurs were very common in
So we
my.
actually went. Did you ever actually go to old grave sites? Well, you've got Irish family. They don't really keep graves in Europe, do they?
Yeah, they do. What do you mean? Why wouldn't they
They
keep
do.
graves? What did you think they do? That they
I was told that they
sky
dig them up
burial with
after like
vultures?
20 years. Huh?
You what? You thought what?
Maybe that's in Germany or somewhere else in Europe. But yeah, I was told
Oh,
that because land plots were so valuable that they basically recycle grave sites.
Jesus, well, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's
No,
in Germany.
maybe, but
Yep.
that's pretty harsh. I know, I never heard of that. No, you definitely keep graves and attend to them. Yes.
Where you're
Uh,
at?
oh yeah, I mean, it's very. I mean, the Irish would be very into that, very particular, and remembering
Hmm.
that they'd be one of the best people for it.
Right.
Keeping that, yeah, definitely, absolutely, they would. Yeah. Um, what was I going to say there? I had something or other. Can't remember now.
Mm.
But yeah, yes. No, they
So,
definitely they are very into their grave sites. There's amazing ones actually. There's I was just up at one. Well, actually, no, this is a while ago with a friend of mine, and he showed me there's a cemetery near here that has a tower in it, and you can actually go like an old stone tower. It's cool, overlooking the whole graveyard, and it's from the days when in the 19th century when they colleges were desperate for cadavers for studying medicine, surgery, and anatomy. That
yeah.
people started grave robbing. So they actually
Right.
build they built towers at the cemeteries with guards. There'll be a guard there all night long with a gun because people were taking so many bodies.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Jeez. Yeah, that's
yeah.
really wild. I know that artists used to do that. Or at least that's what I've been told. I don't know if that's actually true. I hope it's not. But you know, in the days where they were starting to become more apt to be particular about anatomy, would it make sense to want to know all the different musculature and definitions and whatnot? But who knows if
Well,
that's actually true?
that's always been important. Yeah, Da Vinci was famous for that, and
Yeah.
he was famous for being quite brutal about it. I recall a story where he befriended an old man, and he's got these accounts in his books of this sort of loving accounts of this gentle old man, and
Yeah.
then he visits him until he dies, and as soon as he's dead, he cuts him up and studies the body,
See, I
which
didn't
is
want
pretty.
to. I didn't want to say Da Vinci right out because it's one of those things that our our intellectual enemies would like to use this kind of content to just like decorate his tomb for eon or for all eternity is anything negative about. But yeah, I've heard such things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just more like he had a sort of clinical cold way of, it was just his pure, he was obsessively a student of the world, observing things, and he would just do whatever it took to study something. It wasn't like he was evil or mean or psychopathic or anything. He was this type of guy that if you look to the lengths he went to of personal study and observation in his notes, not just in art. I mean, his work in um, that particular kind of mathematics, like first of all geometry, but then he was into a certain kind of mathematics that he was studying for a long time, and obviously into optics and things, flight,
Right.
inventions for war, like all these different things. He just like he became interested in something, and he really got to the bottom of it in a kind of like a. I suppose he'd probably be is it OCD or whatever, that kind of, when
Hmm.
someone goes to that minutia of detail, like Stanley Kubrick was like that, I think, where he would go to insane levels of detail, what would be to his benefit, that he would actually produce amazing stuff because of it. And that's
Sure.
really what it takes to get to that genius level, is to be obsessed with every detail, as much detail as you can, as broadly as you can, if you want to be that kind of a genius. And it also involves being, probably there's a certain coldness towards that people wouldn't understand when you're. It wasn't just the old guy. He cut up a, I think a woman who had died with her baby, and I think he dissected them as well.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was just purely out of, and there was a lot was learned from this as well. I mean, I could.
Right.
He was that intent on finding the truth behind things. That's it.
There you go. I like the cut of that. I can deal with that. So now we've talked about beautiful, the genius of humanity. Now let's talk about something else that's in the complete opposite. The uncreative minutia in regards to Simon Cowell and the perfect pitch, which take us away, Brendan.
Have you got anything to say about any of these? Or you know what I'm alluding to? What do you think I'm alluding to when I say that? Let's hear that and see if
I'm assuming what you're saying is that studying music as a just a cold, calculated study of music, like removes the feeling, it removes the emotional content, and when you look at it in the ways of, defining pitch as the apex of musical excellence, you're probably going to miss a lot of great things well up in. Is that about right?
Well, sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of, yes. Sorry, I got distracted and
Yeah.
zoned out and missed the whole second half of what you were saying. Sorry, but you were heading in the correct direction. Yes. No, I would say this. So, perfect pitch. Yes. So, like, I have seen those shows. Every now and again, I've seen these shows with this fucking Simon Cowell or one of these people. And you know the type of shows I'm talking about. Women love them. They're like these celebrity, catty, gossipy contest shows where you trot out some kind of freak or retard or a celebrity, make them dance or sing or something, and everyone laughs and goes, "Hey, look at the retard," or whatever, or "Hey, look how great this is."
I do know.
Okay,
yes.
Right? And utterly just terrible, and everything about it is awful and just like despicable. Like the few times I've been forced to watch it, usually I'd be like with some ladies, and they'd be like, "Isn't this great?" And I'd be like, "Holy fuck! Like it's the worst thing I've ever seen." And it's not only that I could tell immediately it was terrible. Everything about it was terrible. It was like counter art, counter culture, that they sort of commodified it in this weird way. But the other thing I noticed and have seen, not just on shows like this, but in like real life stuff, because I worked at recording studios and things. I've worked in this industry, and I've seen the people who put these things together. And they do think along those lines now, and even partially because of shows like that, I think. But I don't know where it comes from. But yes, they would say, be obsessed, and in a way, it's like other things like this, where they're not wrong, but they've only taken like a part of the thing and obsessed over it and made it the whole thing. So they would be very good about finding, say, if someone's singing that, again, it's perfect pitch, they can sing immaculately. And they can recite and, re-sing classic songs or whatever, and other unique qualities. But there would be no actual spark of originality or creativity or any of the stuff that really makes it magical or good or anything good about it at all in the first place. But they would be obsessed with having something like the perfect pitch and the perfect look, but nothing that is important. So like you don't have people anymore going out. Were we talking about this on Monday, or was I talking to somebody else?
No,
Anyway,
I've never.
Where we were like, people don't go out, like you don't have like a band, some random bunch of guys, or girls even, and doing their crazy thing, and they could get discovered because someone sends out talent scouts and says, "Hey, this band is doing this or that." It never happens like that anymore. It's more like they can't see past people in charge of the industry. Can't see originality, or can't see past things like the perfect pitch and the minutia of those superficial details that don't even really matter when they're completely overlooking the true process, which is anti-commercial and sort of to do with creativity and random, a chaotic energy, let's say. It's part of the reason why we don't have any good bands and you can't find them, because they're not trying. They've become obsessive in the wrong ways and going in little circles. What have I sort of explained that? What do you think? Am I just rambling like a fool, or talk to me?
Yeah. Well, the idea that we can quantify music as, the execution of some sort of goal set, right? So the goal is to have pitch, or I've never seen these shows, so I don't really know exactly what they aim for, other than just like sounding like every other fucking pop star that's ever lived. I noticed that there's a very general sound that they go for. I always was much more interested in the outtakes, or the ones that didn't make it. These fucking lunatics that go in front of them and just cause nonsense. That's much more entertaining to me than the actual, like, the prowess that I'm viewing. Because think of a guy like Lemmy. Like, what would Lemmy ever have a chance at something like this?
No, he would not. Yeah, exactly. Most people that were famous in the past would not. They wouldn't, because the whole criteria that they're going ass backwards through it. They're like, they've got a set criteria. They've got guys like this Cowell guy and people like him that have the structure of their values and their criteria is totally ass backwards to finding anything actually good or new. And in fact, everybody also, anybody who actually is forced to watch these shit things, like yourself, and pretty much everybody, I think, enjoys it for the freaks and the people that fuck up and do crazy shit.
Yeah,
which is really where the talent is, and which is, you might argue, so they're not really finding it, because they just make them, because only the worst and most savage, wild loser can get anything, kind of any notoriety to it. When if they were doing the talent scout type scenario for weird, crazy people who were making a stir somehow, it would be different. But I guess the whole system, what it used to be of like bars and gigs and the way bands and things used to come up, it's all different. It's all gone, I guess. Isn't it? Even when we were young, it was different.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's still kind of there. It's sort of, but like, I don't know. You have the old classic bands, and the new ones don't seem to be. It's very, very rare and hard to find someone who's up to snuff. I do have myself. I'm very tempted to do a musical project. I'm going to try it with this guy. He's going to help me out, and it will be amazing. Actually, it's another talent of mine that is really an unsung talent. I do think I could, with enough time and effort, put together quite an interesting, original little album thing, and I will try. I have recorded the little bits I want to do. Yeah, I know you have this desire as well.
Yeah, I do like to play music. I just never get to anymore. But well, I was thinking, like, when I earn my $100,000 from being, a podcast star alongside you, then I can help fit the bill for your band. See, that's how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, 10 years of the shit, and we'll
as long as
you're on time every time. You were like, you showed up there right as I clicked the live button. I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have to do this by myself. Actually, something I will have to do it by myself. Maybe even on. I was thinking of doing it on Friday, but like doing this by myself, I'm just gonna talk. Like, I can do it. I will try at some point. That's supposedly the best way to do. You do an AMA or whatever, and you just ask questions.
Well, you could do that, or you could do a deep dive into something.
Yeah, and also we should try it. Maybe the next one we should do is like get a third guest.
I mean, if that's what you want to do,
or get rid of you and have a guest. No, but like, it'd be good to have you and like someone else and just see how that goes as well.
Sure.
Although it'll really divide up the screen, so like the ladies, our beautiful barbarian ladies, will really squeeze everything together. But who cares about that? No one needs to see the shit. All you have to do is listen to it. I mean, what the fuck is the point? So, yeah, there's nothing more to say about that, I guess. that's the topic of Perfect Pitch.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, Ed Wood and Camp Cult Classics.
Right. Well, that was your
So
idea. So what are you going to say
yeah,
about
well, I just watched Tim Burton's Ed Wood, which is one of my favorite. I don't know if it's one of my favorite movies, but it's a movie I return back to every once in a while just because it's very entertaining. And the guy that plays Bela Lugosi is probably one of the best like roles I can think of. I can't think of a better suit than I think it was Martin Landau who did that. Incredible role of Bela Lugosi. You've seen that movie, correct?
it? Oh yes, but I can do you one better in that I have seen Ed Wood's films many times.
I have too.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're better than that. I mean, I actually would be somewhat of a fan of them. Yeah.
I particularly like Glenn or Glinda. You've seen that,
Yeah.
correct? That
Yeah,
is a
I have a friend.
masterpiece.
I have a friend called Glenn, and it was his favorite, and we'd always just laugh at him like, Glenn or Glenda, and he would love it.
Yeah.
He's a great connoisseur of the shit movie, and this was back in the day when even you'd have to get them on VHS. He had
King.
one. He had one that I've never seen since. That was so shit. It was called Survival 1990, and it was like it was a VHS, and it was looked like it was the whole thing was filmed in like a really shitty home video camera of that era.
All
It was
right.
it was an attempt at a sci-fi with I don't, there was like a barbarian woman, like a sexy woman in like a fur bikini thing running around just pointlessly. Like the dialogue was just hopeless, and it would like drag on and on. It took place in America, like some post-apocalyptic thing, and random like nonsense things would happen. All of a sudden, to be like some supposed clones attacking them. I don't know, just like nothing made sense,
That,
and it was tedious. It was incredibly tedious. You'd be sitting there like, oh God, why am I watching this? And he would sit there, be laughing his head off, and he would love it. And it became like this ordeal where you had to sit through these shit movies, and you would learn to love it. And actually, through him doing that, is how I came to watch Ed Wood movies over and over. My favorite
yeah.
actually would be what's the one in the graveyard with the go-go dancers shaking their titties and stuff.
I mean, Plan 9.
No. The whole thing's in a graveyard, and what's it called?
Is
There's
this?
like
Oh yeah, because he did porno after a while, didn't he?
I don't know about that. He was never afraid to have some titties in it, anyways.
He never did like a soft core or something like that.
Oh, did he? I don't know about that. I didn't
Think
see
so.
that.
Yeah.
There was one in a graveyard with like the amazing so and so, some kind of shitty magician or something, is the scary Dracula guy, and there's like a werewolf and a mummy, and they just like make these stupid noises, and there's like it's so shitty. There's even a scene in the beginning where like they're driving a car, and like they show the car and they're driving, and it's daytime, and then it shows the scene of like the wheels of the car as they're driving, but it's nighttime, and then it shows them again and it's daytime again. Like that is lazy. That is lazy.
Yes. It's really strange because he wasn't a stupid man. So how do you even? That's the kind of the genius of Ed Wood. He wasn't like a moron. He wasn't a stupid man. So like, what's the fucking? How did this all come to be? You know, it's very confusing.
Yeah, I don't know. Did he realize it would be a classic quality to being so shit, or was he could have been just fucked up on drugs?
Well, he was an alcoholic. He died of alcohol poisoning, if I remember
Did he?
right.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that was maybe he may have had some limitation where he thought he was an auteur, and he just really just could not do it, because I mean they are remarkably shit.
I am a huge fan of that genre personally, of the bad movie, the awesomely bad movie.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah. There was another one my friend had. What was it called? Plan? Was it no?
Well, Plan 9 was Ed Wood.
No. Yeah, that's Ed Wood. No, it was another one. It was some Italian one. I think it was supposed to be a sequel to Star Crash, which is a great movie, it's also kind of shit. But this one,
sequel to what?
Star Crash. You ever seen Star Crash with what's her name? What's that beautiful woman from the 70s? British woman. Caroline Munro.
No, I've never seen it.
She was
Star Crash.
She was in one of the Sinbad movies and one of the James Bond movies with Roger Moore.
Oh, I think I know this lady at least.
Yeah. So she's in this sci-fi. You're running around in like a leather bikini the whole time. It's great. But there's a sequel to it, which is it's so bad. And at one point, it's like a bunch of these Italian people in like skin tight jumpsuits in spaceships, but like really shitty sets. The bad guy is like this black guy with glitter on his face, and his name's Oriclon, and
Hell yeah.
they're just like saying random like technical stuff while they're operating their ships. They're just going like, turn on the laser battery, 15th dimension, and they land on this stupid planet, and the effects are terrible. And then as soon as they get there, these supposed alien people come out, and then you have to sit through like a scene of people like a choreographed dance scene that seems to go on for like 40 minutes, and it's like the most tedious, awful thing you've ever seen. And it's when you get to those points of tedium like that where it's like, this is genius. When you realize, like, first of all, you're bored, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And you may even get upset or annoyed, and then you kind of realize, like, this is so shit. It's hilarious, like how someone could make this and think this is great. There's a certain hilarity that slips in if you can suffer through it that long.
Well, it's interesting because, to tie this back to what we were talking about earlier, is how all these different setups are presented to create this content. So it's kind of like the names, where it could be an occupation, it could be biblical, it could be all this, or it could be a fusion, and all these different things. Like, for instance, what's really funny is how Troll 2 was created. You're familiar with Troll 2, right?
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Which
also
is
also Italianly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it is how it is, because the director didn't speak English, and so people had to fucking basically figure out what the hell he wanted to do, and have different translators to talk to the actors and all this other shit. So that's why it turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
This and of course the budgetary constraint, because there's absolutely like no fucking budget at all for this movie, which is,
and there's not even a troll in it. It's like goblins, they call them.
Yeah, they're goblins.
I saw someone. There's a documentary about the making of it or something. And I remember someone like after all these years, someone finally confronted him and said, "Why is there no trolls in the movie?" And he just goes, "Trolls, goblins, whatever." And he starts laughing, like he was like amazed that someone would ask this.
The director.
Yeah, he didn't understand there was a difference.
Trolls, goblins, whatever. Yeah,
he must have someone probably gave him like at least $1 million or something to make this piece of shit. Like,
right.
And he's to be so flippant is there's an excellence there in that kind of behavior, definitely.
Yeah,
that I can appreciate. One of the for some reason I might have to say this before we move on. How long have we been doing this? Actually, it's already been like an hour, but we'll go on a bit longer. But
yeah.
That same friend of mine who would insist we sit through the shit movies and we'd actually end up loving them. There was he said one of the funniest things I ever heard. What was it? He said this actually, but he would always say something really hilarious. But we were watching that movie. Ever see Angel Heart? With Robert De Niro plays the devil and stuff like that. It's actually good. It's actually very good. Cool. Oh, you should watch it if you haven't seen it. Yeah, it's good.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's very good. But there's a scene where this black guy gets his dick cut. He's dead and he's killed because the killer cuts off his dick and shoves it down his throat and kills him with it.
All right.
Right. And as soon as my friend saw that, he goes and like proudly he says, "Ah, that would never work on me. My dick's too small. I'd merely swallow it." And I thought that was funny. And I always no. You have to say that's funny.
I want to say a prayer for your friend and his tiny dink.
That doesn't mean it's tiny. I mean, think of it. To be so big that you would choke on it, like that's pretty. I mean, surely there's a way to get around
that. Why are you always throwing me curveballs with black dick? I'm sitting here trying to get into like big brain fucking universe out here, and then boom, just get boomeranged by it. It's just fucking silly.
Well, what did you have to? What else did you have to say about Ed Wood? Orgy of the Dead. That's the one. That's the one where he's in the graveyard.
What is it? What one?
Orgy of the Dead. That's my favorite one. It's just like go-go girls getting naked, basically in a graveyard and dancing.
I have not seen that. Can you say that name one more time? Because you cut out right there.
You got to see that. That is the best one. Orgy of the Dead.
Orgy of the Dead. Okay, yeah. No, I have not seen that one.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that one of his later ones?
you're in for a treat. I don't know. It's color, anyways.
Yeah.
But
Then it's got
Glenda
to be a
Glenda was
later
black and
one
white.
because the ones I know are all black and white.
Glenda is funny because there's like those random scenes of stock footage. I remember at one point there's like
Yes.
stock footage of like buffaloes all of a sudden for no reason, just like it has nothing to do with the story. Like obviously these buffaloes.
Yeah. Pull the
And
strings.
Glen or Glenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I like the overtures to like if the Lord wanted us to fly, he would have gave us wings and all this kind of shit in the beginning. You remember that?
I don't.
No, we
I
was
don't
talking
know
about
that one.
he's likening like Ed Wood and his proclivity to that of basically planes in flight. And if the Lord wanted us to fly, he would have gave us wings and this kind of stuff. It's very funny and very cringe. And especially, I can't even imagine now looking at it from political eyes.
Political,
Well, socio-political.
right? Well, he was a cross-dresser, I guess, back in the day when they were like truly, I mean, they still are, but we're on YouTube. Yeah, I cannot talk about this. We cannot talk about that.
Yeah, that's why I said what I said.
Right. Good. I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that part. But I mean, the guy was like a lunatic. I mean, he was, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next question?
All right. So we have. Do you want to do
One more. We'll do one more. We're already over an hour, so we'll do one more.
All right. Do you want to do your most prized thought here? The women or plants?
Oh, no.
Tell me about that.
No. Well, we could. Okay, say it then.
I don't have any. This is you. Oh. This is yours, bud.
You get all embarrassed about this kind of thing, don't you? You don't like that kind of talk.
It's just I don't know. I don't really have my views. I feel are to dispatch kind of like the enemy, and I don't really like to consider the fair sex as my enemy. I guess.
Oh, this isn't overly negative.
Okay, we'll go for it.
I mean, it is a bit. Well, how do we word it again? What's it about?
That's it. You said women or plants.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the Spenglerian take. Would you believe? He's
okay.
Yes, he's the one who said that they're the root and soil of the race.
Sure.
Which they are. And they as such they behave in a common associative way with strong roots for good reasons, but they tend to operate en masse in a kind of conglomerate way. And I was thinking specifically of the fact that I see them all recently wearing dresses over the summer, and just lately. And it could only be in this country for all I know. I see them all wearing dresses, like old-fashioned kind of summer dresses. And I realized, okay, that's not because they've all suddenly become trad. It's because something has happened in one of those ways, and they all start doing something. I've just noticed in my lifetime that these things happen, and women will start doing something because all the other women are doing it. And whatever the reason is, maybe it's quantifiable to some Bernaysian corporate hyper genius living his brain in a jar on the top level of a gigaplex downtown somewhere. But to me, it's a mystery how they all suddenly start doing stuff at the same time, and they do. They're all now wearing dresses, and it's not because they all went trad. I don't know why. So I wanted to say that. Okay.
I'm good. You good? You finish. You digging your
No,
hole.
that's it. That's it. Women are plants, and it's not to mention derogatory. Have you seen this? Have you noticed it over there? Are they all wearing dresses there, or is it just here?
No.
Okay, it's just here. So it's an Ireland probably / UK thing. I don't know. There's things that happen here or in Europe that don't happen over there. But
Yeah.
Okay, so that's whatever.
I mean, this is America, dude. What is it, like 60% of us are morbidly obese? So I'm glad they're not wearing dresses. I mean, like, hey, if they are wearing, if I do see a pretty girl in a dress, say good for that pretty girl and all that.
Well, it's hard to complain about. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I think it's great, even if it's for incidental or reasons other than maybe they do actually. Maybe it could be sort of a reason where they do want to suddenly appear more traditional than usual. But I mean, whatever motivates or whatever makes them behave as a group
more fertile
is a mystery. It's a plant reason. It's a reason that we cannot grasp or conceive. Not because they're less than us anyhow, but just because they have that plant-like mass beneath them somehow as some kind of root that they're all attached to. That we are not attached to.
I think men are definitely attached to it. I mean, what the fuck is the obsession with fucking sports ball, man? Like, what the fuck is that? We've talked about this.
You and I don't have that one, but yeah, you can say they have. But I mean, the plant reference from Spengler, it is true. I think it's more like it's like women in a culture are the root and base of it. Before culture was subverted, it was really more women that taught children religion and kept everything going. They're still the ones to this day that keep a ritual going.
Right.
Really, don't they? More than men. So he compared it to a plant-like way of being, which is, I mean, there's something to it that I should be better prepared to describe and talk about, but I'm not. But everybody knows it's true in some way. So fuck you. Rick D has paid. Listen to this now. We made $1 last time. We've made $2 this time.
Oh my God.
That's it.
This is fucking incredible. We're doing it.
This is it. So he says.
Was it? Oh yeah, go for it.
What is your guest's favorite story in Aegeon? Did you even read it? I think you bought it, but I don't think you read it, did you?
What the fuck kind of question is that? Come on, man.
He drew a picture in Aegeon. He drew a picture.
Yeah, I put art in it. I haven't fucking been able to read it yet. I'm a bad guest, but yeah. I will write stories for Aegeon. I'm a fucking, I'm pretty, I don't want to make excuses, but it's hard for me to sit down and fucking read anything that isn't for basically content farming, because I've got work, I've got paintings, I've got all sorts of shit I'm doing. So how about that?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't expect you to. It's fine.
I've heard it's incredible, and I'd like to sit down and read it, but just haven't.
He asked what story did he illustrate? He illustrated Impulse.
Yeah.
It was a story with the guy he gets punched in the head, and he wakes up and he's a brain in a jar and he doesn't know what's going on. And he keeps
I fucking read that one. That's my favorite story. Yeah. All right.
There we go. You read that one, yeah.
I did read that one, yeah.
That was a good story.
It was fun.
I like that story.
You wrote that, right?
I mean, that's good. Yeah, I like the idea of it, especially the part towards the end where the guy who's zapping him says, for all I know, I could be a brain in someone else's jar. None of us know. That was the really point of the story. The fact that, for all we know, with all our, stimulus and impulses and our lives, that we are ultimately sort of a victim of our sensation and the world about us, and it's out of our hands. And You know, he woke up in a sort of Matrix-like scenario to discover he was just a brain in a jar, imagining he had a life. And
Spooky.
that was it. Yeah, there was
Ooh.
a lot of spooky ones in that last issue, which won't be in issue 3. Has got more. I'm working on it now. It's got more. It's different again. Each one is different, which is cool. I have a lot of submissions, so I'm trying to squeeze more of them in and do. I'm very happy to write almost every story myself, and I would love to, but I have to restrain myself from doing that because it's obviously I should. The point is to get other people to write stories. So.
Right. No,
And
it's a fucking great project. Yeah, it's very, very exciting to see it unfold the way it is and see how many people want to be in with it. It's very cool.
no, there's a lot of submissions. Too many, in fact. Like I'm having a hard time reading them all. But there's issue 3 is more or less put together, but it's more like it's not as spooky as that one. The last one had a lot of spooky stories. This one has more like, how would I describe them?
Whimsical.
No, it's different. It's different than the other two. I have to think about it. It's something else, but interesting anyways.
Aesthetically, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, but there's
No.
always that little thing that we do. Aesthetically, I also appreciate that you're not trying to do the nostalgia bit. You're not trying to make it look, kind of like it's a retro, a harken to. This seems new. This seems like content coming from now, and it's I mean, you might be able to spin some of that stuff in there, like buying X-ray glasses and whatnot in the back, or something from one of the stories. That might be kind of fun. But as for just the content, it's all original, all new, and the illustrations, and there's a lot of really great artists in there. And
yeah, this next one should have a lot of really good art, I should say, as well. You should do one as well. Actually, I should get you to do one. But some of the ones I already have lined up, I know are going to be very good.
Yeah, hit me up.
In terms of art, it'll be the best. This next one will be the best in terms of art. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you should do one. Yeah, as well.
Yeah, hit me up. Like I said, I got a story for you. You just got to let me know when I need to write it, and I'll
the story. Yeah. Oh, you write it anytime. Yeah, maybe I can squeeze it into issue 4 because this one's done.
Yeah,
it'll be out in October 1st. It'll be out. Yeah.
I'll tell you.
And the cover should be sweet too. Although I'm just saying that, not that I've seen it, but I have a feeling it will be good. Someone else is doing it. That's the first cover that I'm not doing, anyways.
Oh yeah. No, I'm sure it'll be sweet.
Yeah, but I was definitely very heavily influenced by the retro magazines and was emulating them. But because I'm influenced by different ones, this is where, in my opinion, creativity always comes from, is the mix of old things, at least 2 or 3. So to me, it's like a mix of like Analog magazine plus 2000 AD, which was a UK magazine where Judge Dredd originally appeared and several other characters.
Interesting.
So to me, it's a mix between those two, especially since I introduced the character that walks you through the Ramek or whatever. He's like the crypt keeper kind of guy. So it's like a little character that talks at the end, it bookends a story or at the beginning and says a little something. It reminds me of the old 2000 ADs I used to get when I was a kid. See, when I was a little kid, these kind of magazines and things were everywhere. You just buy them you go to the supermarket and you see it there. It'd be like Heavy Metal magazine, Analog, or 2000 AD, one of these things.
Yeah, apparently Heavy Metal's coming back or something, or they're trying to do movies, or can't remember what the hell. I saw something recently.
Probably woke and terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, that's the risk with all these classic things, is they try to keep going, and they don't realize that you have to take that part out of the equation. That's at least a huge reason, part of the reason that these things have gone downhill and vanished to begin with, is wokeness and that whole scene.
Woke.
But here, let's do one more since we're cruising along.
All right. Let's see what we got. Let's do. You got Neo-Feudalist Utopian Island.
Oh, we got another donation on entropy. Oh, Jesus.
All right.
What is it? Oh, no, it's the same one. It's the same question you asked already. You did it on both.
Okay.
It's the same guy. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Rick. But we have answered it. So, well, okay, what was it again? Say it again.
It was neo-feudalist
All right.
utopian island.
Okay, shit. This is a heavy one. Brace yourself. Okay, so. Oh yeah, let me ask. Let's start this by asking you, what do you think I'm going to say about this?
Fucking neo-feudalist utopian island. I'm guessing like an island of survival of the fittest. Fuck, I don't know.
Okay, so no, you're totally wrong. Embarrassingly wrong. It's this. So a lot of people talk about, oh, the elites are heading us toward neo-feudalism, right? First of all, I'm a big fan. First of all, I'm a huge fan of feudalism. I mean, look at me. I look like a dungeon torturer.
Yeah.
I like feudalism, so it's fine.
Right.
It's an honest way to go about things. So the horrific, I mean, there's a element of horror in terms of a technological neo-feudalism, in which would maybe possibly reduce this to livestock, which we talked about last time.
But we talked about that before. It sounds like.
Yeah, we did last time. We talked about it.
Oh, did we? Yeah.
So I mean, and it's a threat, and we should talk about it again. It's a big deal. It's quite possible and quite menacing. But anyways, in terms of the neo-feudalism that most people talk about, which is that the elites are going to become the new feudal overlords, I don't know that that's. I don't think they're even. I don't think our current crop of elites are generally. I mean, some of them are somewhere at the top. There's obviously some very smart, organizing things and trying to push things in certain ways. But certainly, in terms of life, there must be an element of chaos that interferes in anybody's plans, no matter how godlike you are in your breadth of wealth. And I don't think the neo-feudalists have any more control of what they've started or what they're doing. Some of them than anybody else. I think a lot of them are possibly as micromanaged as we are, as by the managerial class that's in between, that's kind of these hopeless, ballless, kind of utopian fools, like, say, Klaus Schwab and people like this, that they don't really think about what they're doing. They talk about all this environmental stuff. For instance, this is what I was thinking when I made that title, is that, so they're living in the same world as the rest of us. They don't, they don't show the slightest concern about plastic waste, which we discussed earlier, or these major things. The world about them is dissolving into a trash world, and do these, where are these elites? If the rest of the world and everybody upon it is entering trash world, where is it these elites are going to be living? That's, where is the utopian island of, like, where there's no, I was going to say something I shouldn't say there, where there's no, what can I say? There's no trash world stuff.
Yeah,
trash
world stuff.
Where they're going to live in a vintage world where everything's fine and nobody around them is behaving or showing any sign of anything that's annoying or degenerate and, what's the word? Dysgenic. It seems to me they've soiled their own bed if they really had any real control over it. I mean, someone might say, oh, they're going to live in space. They're going to live on the moon or something like that. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, there's what's the fucking movie where they have a giant ring in
space? Mr. Sleepy Time is falling asleep.
My bad, man. No, I don't mean to yawn. My bad. But what's the movie where they have the giant ring that they live in space? I can't remember the name of it. It's not Metal Arc Park or Hyde Park or something like that. It's
I didn't see it.
What?
I don't know.
Anyway, it basically, there's this book, movie, it's some sort of content where they have basically pulled a ship above the Earth that has become this squalor zone. The entire planet is, just a the trash world, as you say, and then the elite live on this giant ring in space.
Yeah,
Can't remember what it's
I've
called.
heard of it. It might be that Elysium. I haven't seen that either. So.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Okay, so but yeah, in terms of the topic, like I don't see that there's something to that whole neo-feudalist thing. That
What about New Zealand? Is that what you're getting at?
what about New Zealand?
There's a lot of elite property and mansions and housing in New Zealand, and also Hawaii is another one of those. I don't think that would be the answer either. I think they'll just have their gated communities wherever they're at.
I'm sure there's plastic trash washing up on the beaches of New Zealand, and there's disgruntled, confused, pseudo psychotic people working on the island. Just as much as anywhere else. If that's their plan, I don't think it's a well-considered plan at all. So that's what makes me. I don't think there's going to be any kind of techno neo-feudalism exactly. There's going to be more likely a descent into barbarity because the chaotic part got out of their hands. In general plans they had heading in a certain direction because they were foolish and weak, and generally the incredible mass of micromanaging the managerial class just beneath them, who are these clueless clowns. People like, did you see that speech recently? What was it, Kamala Harris? Maybe I shouldn't talk about this stuff like this on YouTube. Maybe it's getting too political. Yeah. But anyway, there's a very recent speech where she's talking in absolute platitudes through the entire, every word is like a kind of corporate buzzword. It makes no sense. She's not even like saying anything, like just kind of creating an emotion, a feeling of like, of buzzwords, plurality and equality fuzziness.
Right.
So there's no sense. There's no rationality. There's no rationale.
Basically, like MK Ultra triggers.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, so that's it. That's that one. And we've gone for a long time, hour and a half.
That's a very interesting concept, though. I don't know what they would do, or if they even have a plan other than just like destroy the world and that's it.
What a plan! What a great plan!
I mean, maybe it's one of those happy accident things. They'll just worm their way into doing, or surviving however how they were meant to. Who knows?
It seems to me that it can only be that a great number of them are idiots of the same degree we see comprising journalism and sort of bourgeois, the political class,
especially their children.
Yeah, I think a great many of them. I think it's just a totally kind of headless machine of chaos in a lot of ways. And so that's kind of anti-conspiracy in a way, because the conspiracy theorists think that everything's planned very deeply by a godlike sentience at the top. I think there's some of that, but I think it's out of their hands in many ways, because where on this earth are they going to live in peace and perfect elite comfort as this? And how can they be so happy to see so many things dissipate and fall apart about them without thinking it's going to affect them? Like it's insane.
Well, maybe this is the state of comfort, is having trash world. Maybe trash world is comfortable.
Yeah. So what a downer. What a depressing low way to finish. But yet we must finish.
What?
Yet it is over. I must go inside, and you must do other things. So
yeah.
At least entropy worked, and we even got a donation on it of some kind.
2.
I don't know what it is.
Wait, 2, not 2.
Huh? Did we get 2? No.
$2, right?
Oh, definitely. We definitely got $2.
$2.
Yeah. So I mean, we doubled last time. So right there, we doubled.
That's hey, bud. If we can keep going on this trajectory for 10 years,
Yeah. Well, hell, if we doubled and we did it for I don't know, a couple of months, we'd be doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Doubling is good. Anyways, It's all over now.
Done.
You've had your
All
entertainment. You poor hopeless fools. We both entertained and enlightened you.
Had some
Certainly I have.
laughs. Had some
Yeah,
cries.
that's it. That's it. So
All right then.
goodbye.
Bye bye.